Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime, the podcast where we discuss cybercrimes and cybersecurity news. This week we will be discussing the short-form video app TikTok. And no, it's not being banned again. Honestly, I have no idea what actually happened with that, and I don't have a TikTok, so I also don't really care too much. This is about TikTok being used as somewhat of a phishing mechanism to push malware to devices. And you may be wondering, how is that possible? Surely the videos themselves aren't malicious. You can't get malware from just looking at a video, right? And you're right about that. The videos themselves are not malicious, rather they instruct people to run commands on their computers to do various things, like download a cracked pirated version of Spotify, activate a fake Windows license, or activate premium features in other applications that you otherwise would have to pay for. Now, piracy is nothing new, especially for software, and giving people instructions on how to download cracked versions of software is also nothing new. And we know what else isn't anything new? Getting malware from those alleged pirated copies of software. This is really just old problems being pushed onto new mediums. Whenever you pirate something, there is always a risk of getting malware because you're never downloading software from a legitimate source. Yes, some piracy sites claim to be safer than others, but even these sites can possibly contain malware. If you decide you're going to pirate something, that is just a risk you need to accept, and a lot of people do accept it. These videos, specifically on TikTok, rely on a couple of things. People blindly trusting others on the internet, a bad idea, and people who do not understand what command line commands are actually doing. The videos use an AI-generated voice and instruct you to open PowerShell, a Windows utility that allows you to enter commands to perform actions on your machine, to activate a fake version of some software. Many of these videos have reached 500,000 views and will only continue to spread like wildfire as they are viewed more and shared on the TikTok platform. Anyways, the video shows the PowerShell command prompt being opened and the user typing in the command. There are also multiple videos with some slight differences in camera angles and download URLs being entered into the command prompt. It's possible that these videos are created through some sort of automation process to make minor changes to their content. The captions of the videos are usually something like, "Boost your Spotify experience instantly," and claims to download the premium version of Spotify to your computer without you having to pay for the premium version, of course. As you may have guessed by me hinting at it the entire time, the commands being entered are not to install any sort of pirated software. They are to install and execute a script that's hosted at a remote website, and that script installs InfoStealer malware. Not only that, it launches it with elevated permissions, all just using PowerShell commands that, well, frankly, the average person has no idea what it does but saw some guy on the internet type it, so it must be fine. So, let's talk about the malware involved. Vidar is one of the info stealers, and it takes desktop screenshots and can steal credentials, credit card information, HTTP cookies, crypto wallets, text files, and even Authy two-factor authentication databases. Though I will note that Authy sadly has dropped support for their desktop application, so it should not be used, as the security flaws in it will no longer be patched, and, well, it's vulnerable to things like this. Another info stealer in this campaign is StealC, which targets information stored in web browsers, also much like cookies, passwords, credit card info, and cryptocurrency wallets. I don't think I need to tell you that it's bad if a hacker gets a hold of your password, banking information, and your crypto wallets, but, well, it's pretty bad. It can be used to commit unauthorized transactions on your behalf with both your credit card info and your crypto wallet, or your cryptocurrency can be transferred to the hacker's wallets with not really any way to get it back. The passwords, of course, can be used to hijack your accounts and use them for other things. Oftentimes, hijacked accounts are also used to spread phishing scams, and sometimes your browser cookies can actually contain really valuable information. Sometimes they contain session tokens, and a session hijacking attack could be performed where that token is presented to a website so the user can log in as you. Except they're not you, they just stole your browser tokens. Cookies, though, typically just store information about your session, which, yes, includes your session login token, but also things like stuff you looked at, if you're on a shopping website, things that are currently in your cart, advertisements that were served to you, all sorts of information. Social media-driven deception is becoming a lot more common, especially if algorithms to boost the popularity of the content can be manipulated by having bot accounts interact with the video, commenting and liking it to make it seem more legitimate somehow. Multiple different accounts were making these videos, and though they all have been removed, more will inevitably pop up to run the same type of scams, much like cutting the head off of a hydra. So, what can you do to avoid this type of scam? Don't type any commands into your computer that you are unfamiliar with. If you have to, because it is some kind of troubleshooting step or something, at least look them up to see if they do what they say they do. Generally also avoid trying to download cracked or pirated software. There is really no way I could be promoting piracy on this podcast, so I just won't. I'm also going to parrot advice I've heard since taking my first internet safety class that has been repeated time and time again since then. Don't trust everything you see on the internet. There are people that want to scam you, even though there are a lot of great people who also want to help you. Just approach things rather cautiously. Thank you to the Hacker News, Bleeping Computer, Tread Micro, and InfoSecurity Magazine for information on this TikTok malware phishing campaign. And of course, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime. And until next time, stay secure.